Today, Napheesa Collier went on First Take, and when we're talking women's basketball, you can't help but to bring up Caitlyn Clark. It's just the way the world works.
It's the way things work. It's simply not fair that one team gets most of their games on national TV. This is what WNBA star Napheesa Collier has said regarding Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever's TV schedule. But is it really about fairness? Or is there something else at play here? The reality is that networks aren't picking the Fever because they favor them. They're picking them because you, the viewers, are choosing to watch. The numbers speak for themselves. Caitlyn Clark's games are drawing record-breaking viewership numbers that the league has never seen before.
Molly Karam, you win the award for the dumbest question of the day. Napheesa Collier, you win the award for the foolish answer of the day. And Stephen A. Smith,
Did you catch Napheesa Collier's comments about Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever? Her remarks on First Take are making waves throughout the basketball world, and it's easy to see why. Collier, a star for the Minnesota Lynx and vice president of the WNBA Players Association, appeared on ESPN's First Take, where she was asked directly about the TV schedule situation.
And Napheesa Collier went on to First Take, and of course, as expected, she was asked about the Fever getting more TV viewers, which is just one of those obvious things.
The controversy: the Indiana Fever will have 41 out of their 44 games broadcast nationally this season, while the defending champion New York Liberty will only have 32. Rather than recognizing the straightforward business reasons behind this decision, Collier offered a response that many fans are calling confusing, implying that the situation is somewhat crazy and unfair to other teams.
The reason why they have more national TV games because 18 of the top 20 most viewed games last year were the Indiana Fever. It was literally if I'm not mistaken, it was if you don't count the All-Star game, there was a Las Vegas Aces and Chicago Sky game that, again, was directly before one of the Fever games which had more viewers in it, which was literally right before a Fever game. So a game that led into a Fever game.
What made her comment so controversial wasn't just the content, but the way she delivered it. She began by acknowledging that people want to watch Caitlyn Clark, which makes total sense. But then, she quickly shifted, suggesting it's crazy that the defending champions aren't getting more coverage. She seemed to try to have it both ways, acknowledging why networks would want to air Fever games while still implying that there's something unfair about it.
So if there are 175 slots, question Fee, because you know more than me, how are we able to give more games to other teams without taking away from other teams? How does that work? Please enlighten me.
The most surprising part of her statement came when she suggested that other teams should get more TV games without taking any away from the Fever. This shows a basic misunderstanding of how TV scheduling works. Networks have a limited number of slots available, so it's impossible to give everyone more airtime without reducing someone else's coverage.
The WNBA do not decide who's on TV. Let's be there. They make the deal with the WNBA to get certain amount of games on certain days, and whatever, these networks choose who to show.
Stephen A. Smith wasn't having it. He fired back at Collier by drawing a powerful comparison to Michael Jordan's early years in the NBA. Smith highlighted that popularity is the key driver of viewership, pointing out how the NBA built around Jordan long before he was winning championships. The networks aren't showing favoritism. They're simply reacting to what the market demands.
80s, for example, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird took the NBA by storm and they were winning championships, competing for championships, but then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
What's especially confusing is how Collier doubled down instead of recognizing this business reality. Her stance gives the impression that she wants equal TV coverage, regardless of what viewers actually want to watch. But why would a seasoned player and vice president of the Players Association take this stance? What's really behind it?
I think it's an issue. I do think Caitlyn's a star. And like I said, people want to see her, and we are trying to grow the league. Like, you need to put on TV the players that people want to see. But kind of what I said before, I don't think raising the level of the other teams has to mean bringing down Caitlyn or the Indiana Fever. They should have those amount of games on TV on primetime, but I think other teams should also have more than what they have.
Collier's comments highlight a deeper issue within the WNBA, growing tension between established stars and the new sensation, Caitlyn Clark. It's not really about fairness, it's about visibility and attention. Before Clark arrived, the established players had a certain hierarchy and distribution of the spotlight, but now that's being completely upended.
The issue with this is that if you are a WNBA owner, you have any stake in the collective bargaining agreements, you see how out of touch these players are. You know you're walking into those meetings with the high ground. Shout out to Obi-Wan. I mean, it is what it is.
This situation becomes even more intriguing when you factor in Collier's role as vice president of the Players Association. As someone supposed to represent the financial interests of all players, she's taking a stance that seems to overlook the economic realities that could benefit everyone in the league. The massive TV audiences Caitlyn Clark draws could eventually lead to bigger contracts for all WNBA players, including Collier herself.
Hey, Napheesa, is it fair while my employer, ESPN, says, man, Molly, I want to pay you as much money as I possibly can, but the only way we can do that is with advertisers, is with bread. So to help your bottom line, ESPN needs to boost their bottom line. And unfortunately, Caitlyn Clark, she raises everybody's bottom line.
Beneath all the talk of fairness and TV scheduling is a simple truth that the Players Association VP doesn't seem to understand. When it comes to airing WNBA games on national television, networks aren't playing favorites. They're chasing the money. The numbers don't just tell a story, they shout it from the rooftops.
Stan, like, from a casual perspective, there was 1.5 teams that were good to watch last year. Or 2.5 teams. The Wings were so fun to watch. They were garbage, but they were so fun to watch. The Wings, the Fever, and the Liberty were the only teams from a casual perspective that were good to watch.
Let me hit you with some eye-opening facts that explain why TV execs are racing to get Caitlyn Clark on our screens. Did you know that 18 of the top 20 most watched WNBA games last season featured the Indiana Fever? The only exceptions? Game 5 of the finals and one Aces Sky game, which just so happened to air right before a Fever game. This isn't about favoritism, it's about what viewers are actually choosing to watch.
Hey guys, it's Sophie Cunningham here. I'm finally in Indiana and I am so excited to be here and meet all of you. See you guys at the game. Bye.
Those aren't the words of someone who doesn't want to play for the Indiana Fever. No, those are the words of Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA enforcer, who just landed in Indiana and is ready to shake things up for Caitlyn Clark and the squad.
Finally here! Got it! All right.
While Cheryl Swoops said nobody wants to play in Indiana, Sophie Cunningham was lighting up the internet with excitement about joining the Fever. In this video, we'll break down Sophie's thoughts on Caitlyn Clark, her first day with the team, and how she's shutting down the haters.
Oh gosh, this is the first time I've seen my jersey. Oh, I love this. It's like I'm a rookie all over again.
What if I told you that while Cheryl Swoops was running her mouth about nobody wanting to play for Indiana, Sophie Cunningham was poolside in Phoenix when she got the trade call? And her reaction? Not disappointment, not hesitation, just pure excitement.
Where were you when you found out about this, and what was kind of that general reaction to a fresh start here?
Yeah, you guys will learn that if I'm not in the gym, I'm normally by the pool. And so I was actually poolside when I found out. And, you know, there's a lot of emotions just because I have been out there for so long. But to be honest, my original thought was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, we're about to go win a championship. Like, that's exactly where my mind went. And like I said, it's all about the people. It's about the culture. I learned a lot out there, but now I'm ready to move on to something bigger, something better, and have a lot of really great players around me to, you know, seriously go win a championship.
That's right. The idea that top players don't want to join the Fever just got completely shattered. While the haters were busy cooking up their next criticism, Sophie was already gearing up for a championship run in Indiana. Talk about shutting down all that negativity.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so excited. I think it's refreshing. I've been in Phoenix for the past 6 years, was drafted out there. I've had a really great time. I've been very blessed with being around a lot of GOATs in the game and learning the game on another level. But again, this is just a new style. And this is the style that I thrive in. When you have people who can shoot the ball, who move the ball, who are running gunners, and share the ball, this is the type of offense that I want to be in.
When Sophie finally stepped into Gainbridge Fieldhouse, her excitement was absolutely contagious. The Fever's social media captured her pure joy as she took in her new basketball home. In one video that quickly went viral, Sophie introduced herself with all-out enthusiasm.
I'm just stoked. And like I said, the offense is more my style, but I'm also surrounded by a great culture and great people. And that's what I'm also very excited about, to be here in Indiana.
But there's something even deeper about this move for Sophie. As a Missouri native, returning to the Midwest feels like coming home. "I love it," she said during her intro to the Indiana media. "My roots are here in the Midwest, and just being closer to home." This wasn't just a trade, it was a return to her heartland.
How impactful will it be for you and your family to be back here in the Midwest, something that Caitlyn had as well, and within driving distance for everyone, right?
I love it. My roots are here in the Midwest, and just to be closer to home. My sister is married and has a kid, has another one on the way, and family is everything to me. I have a really great support system, and you better believe I've already had over 100, 200 people reach out. "Hey, how do we get season tickets?" I was like, I have no idea. I just got traded 2 hours ago. So I think we're going to have a pretty cool fan base up here from Missouri. But again, it's my Midwest roots. I'm excited to be around Midwesterners again. It's my type of people, and so I'm happy to be here.
What makes Sophie's arrival even more impactful is how it's already shaping team chemistry. In a league where some stars bring egos bigger than their talent, Sophie wasted no time stressing the importance of a selfless culture.
I'm just excited, but to be honest, I think when you have a group that can let go of the egos and you're really just here to win and work hard, I think that's the best type of group, and you're all willing to do the dirty work, and I think that's what I'm most excited about. That's my bread and butter right there, is outwork your opponents and have fun doing it.
Fans flooded social media with excitement, showing overwhelming support for seeing her in action. The connection was immediate. No adjustment period needed. Sophie didn't just join the team, she fully embraced it from day one.
Now that I've been here, and I have been paying a lot more attention to it, and it's crazy, right? It's a whirlwind, and there's an adjustment period, not only for her, but for her teammates around her, for Indiana as a whole. But I think it's all really good things. And so it takes a little bit to get adjusted to it. But after that, come on, it's part of something great that doesn't come around very often. And so if you're not paying attention, I don't know what you're doing.
This is exactly the type of addition the Fever needed. Someone who truly wants to be there, believes in the vision, and brings both skill and energy to the locker room. While critics like Swoops cling to outdated narratives, players like Sophie are backing it up with their actions, proving that Indiana has become a destination franchise in the WNBA.
I know you said earlier this month that you'd do the Sabrina Carpenter to Caitlyn's Taylor Swift.
That was a joke, but I guess people really took that seriously.
People love it. What excites you about playing with her this year?
She has changed our game in the best possible way in every way. And so just to be alongside of her and maybe relieve the pressure, being able to shoot and spread the court for her to go do her thing.
Remember all those times last season when opponents treated Caitlyn Clark like a punching bag? The cheap shots, the hard screens, the unnecessary contact after whistles? Well, the Fever just added the one thing Clark desperately needed but didn't have. A true enforcer ready to make opponents think twice.
She's still young, and I think that I've Diana took me under her wing, and I've learned a lot from her, and now I hope to kind of do the same for Caitlyn if she wants it. I just think the relationship piece is huge, and when you're trying to do something great, it takes everybody. And so I want her to go do her thing, and anything she needs from me, I'm going to be here. But again, I think that just the competitor that I am, I'm fierce, I'm sassy. I stick up for my teammates, stick up for myself, and so sometimes I think that's okay to be feisty and to be yourself.
Sophie Cunningham isn't just bringing her game to Indiana, She's bringing her reputation as one of the WNBA's fiercest competitors, the kind of player that makes opponents think twice before crossing her. In her introductory press conference, Sophie made it clear, "I'm fierce, I'm sassy, I stick up for my teammates, I stick up for myself." And those 5 words about sticking up for her teammates? They might be the most important thing Caitlyn Clark's heard all offseason.
Excited to play in front of the fans. I think that she's drawn a lot of people, not only to Indiana, but to the women's game as a whole. And so just to be a part of something great, just really happy to be here.
Let's be real. Last season was tough for the rookie superstar. We all saw Caitlyn Clark get knocked around, bumped, and targeted game after game with little to no repercussions. The physicality kept ramping up, and it felt like her teammates were either too slow or unwilling to step in and send a message. It was like watching a boxing match where only one fighter had someone in their corner.
Caitlyn Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
This is where Sophie Cunningham steps up. Throughout her career in Phoenix, Sophie became known as the ultimate teammate protector. When opponents targeted Mercury stars, they knew they'd have to answer to her. Now, she's made it clear that same protection is coming to Caitlyn Clark and the rest of the Fever roster.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Sophie isn't just about getting physical, she's all in when it comes to doing the dirty work. Whether finishing through contact or creating space, she thrives in those moments. This toughness fills a major gap the Fever had last season, especially when the game got physical.
She hits a 3, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her, and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are going to go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She'll scare the bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen's one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
When you're trying to do something great, it takes everybody. I want her to do her thing. Anything she needs from me, I'm going to be here, Sophie declared, setting the tone for what her role in Indiana will be. With those words, she made it crystal clear that protecting Caitlyn Clark isn't just an afterthought. It's a core part of her mission. Sophie's ability to take on the physical grind, absorb the hits, and finish plays through defenders will be the shield Clark desperately needs. No longer will Clark have to worry about the constant hits. With Sophie in the mix, she'll be free to shine without looking over her shoulder. The enforcer has arrived, and she's got Clark's back every step of the way.
Honestly, I grew up playing literally everything, and I was super competitive, so my parents kind of just tossed me out there and wanted me to like get my energy out, whether it was soccer, softball, golf, track. I really did it all. And then when I got into high school, I kind of knew basketball was my future, and I loved it, and I wanted to practice it, and I think that's what was different. I wanted to get better at it. I wanted to spend time working on my game, and that was probably what set that apart from all the other sports I played. They were just kind of like for fun with my friends. I was really competitive about it, but I didn't take extra time out of my day to go and work on my game and want to be better and be better than everybody else. So I think that's what kind of helped me figure out the path I wanted to take. And then I remember in high school, I played soccer and I was on varsity and I loved it, but my teammates would get mad because I would go and practice and work out and do basketball after school right before we had our soccer games, and they couldn't believe that I was doing that. So I eventually had to give up soccer, even though I loved it, but I think it was just...
Caitlyn Clark has always been a force to be reckoned with. But what we're seeing now is something else entirely. The WNBA has officially been put on notice. Clark isn't just leveling up her game, she's evolving into an unstoppable powerhouse.
Number 22, Caitlyn Clark!
I think this is a good excuse to miss school. Absolutely, to see your sister do that. Dennis Folk keep posting up, but you know who they go to. 22! Abby Marshall, here comes Clark. How will she go for history?
The newest footage shows a Clark who's not just stronger, but downright dominant, and defenders have every reason to be seriously concerned. If you thought Clark was a threat before, get ready. It's about to get wild.
She has a game in that opportunity. Clark for three, rattles for her first deep shot.
She's no longer just the sharpshooter we've all come to admire. She's been hitting the gym, packing on serious muscle, and gearing up to take the league by storm in ways we've never imagined. This is the kind of transformation that turns stars into legends, and we're here to break it all down. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for all the latest WNBA updates and in-depth takes on the biggest stories rocking the league.
Bumps had a good night here tonight. Points, she and Jackie Young leading the way at Clark. Boston screen, fire away. Yep.
Remember last season? Caitlyn Clark was already a generational scorer, torching defenses with her endless range and fearless shot making. But there was one major flaw: physicality.
Effect! Thank you very much. That's what 6'5" would do for you. I don't have that luxury. Nice give and go. Clark right at the cup. Rebound, back Vinley. Futility from three for the Sparks. 0 for 9 and stuck in the air there. Finlay comes up with it. Here's Clark in transition where she's dangerous. Leaves it behind for. Here's just 1 of 5. How about Finlay running the floor? They go threes. Yeah, they do. Nice concept, but it won't go.
Defenders didn't hesitate to take advantage of her lean frame, bumping her off her spots, crowding her, and putting her in tough, uncomfortable positions.
Women's basketball has found its fame, and the reason for that is a 22-year-old playing in just her first WNBA season. Indiana Fever's point guard, Caitlyn Clark, has already become the face of women's basketball, despite this being her debut year. To cap it off, Clark has won Rookie of the Year award, and she did that in some style, a unanimous choice of 66 of the 67 votes going in her favor. But it isn't just skill and accolades that make her the most popular face here on the basketball court. Clark's off-field antics.
Skeptics were loud. Could she handle the brutal physicality of the league? Was she just another college phenom who would falter against bigger, stronger, and faster opponents? Fast forward to now, and Clark has completely turned that narrative upside down. She didn't just accept the challenge, she went straight at it.
Which makes it a really good offensive.
Clark seeing direction, feeds Boston. Indiana has the advantage, and Boston trying to beat all their opponents for the first time since 2010. Clark shot fakes the three, feeds inside to Boston for 2.
This offseason wasn't just about fine-tuning her already deadly jumper or sharpening her handles. It was about building a physique strong enough to stand toe-to-toe with the most physical defenders in the league. She made strength just as much of a priority as skill. And the results? Absolutely game-changing. Clark dove into an elite strength and conditioning program designed to pack on muscle without sacrificing the agility and explosiveness that make her a nightmare on the court. Trainers built a plan centered around core stability, lower body strength, and endurance, making sure she could take the hits and still finish strong. She fully embraced weightlifting, resistance training, and explosive movement drills, transforming herself into a more durable, battle-ready version of Clark.
Third quarter. Behind the back, Clark. A wide open shot. And wide open is Caitlyn Clark, but she can't knock it down from up top. Tries it again from a different spot. That will connect.
The transformation is undeniable. She's stronger, more balanced, and now able to initiate contact instead of just taking it.
You know, looking at all these things that people are talking about with Caitlyn Clark, it's like, guys, chill out. Like, she's gonna be fine. Like, it's 2 games in, are you kidding me? She's a student of the game, she got better every year. You're not going to just absorb all of the new information that's coming at you in 2 games, in 2 weeks. It takes time. And she will, I have no doubt about it. She's a student of the game, she continues to get better. And these are also points that coaches then address. Hey, let's continue to work on this, but it's really hard to work on some of those things in season. So this might be an off-season thing, right? Let's continue to play to our strengths, let's find different ways to get the ball to our players, and then when we get time in the off-season, then we'll work on that next step or that next level.
The days of defenders pushing Clark around are a thing of the past. Now, she's the one setting the tone. And it's not just the fans and analysts who've noticed. Her coach, Stephanie White, has confirmed it too.
A new sight on the court here at Carver Hawkeye Arena. That decal right at the spot where Caitlyn hit that follow-away 3. The logo 3 to take the NCAA scoring record.
In a recent statement, White made it clear. Clark didn't just fine-tune her physique, she completely rebuilt it. This isn't a small tweak, it's a full-on evolution, and it's already having a massive impact on her game.
Play. It's up, it won't go down, and this building knows. See Mitchell's going, what happened? For Caitlyn, what a reaction by Colson.
Her arms are more defined, a clear testament to the hours of weight training she's put in. Her core is rock solid, keeping her balanced even when taking heavy hits. Her legs are built for explosive power, giving her that extra burst when driving to the rim and extending her shooting range beyond what was already elite. Clark has transformed herself into a physical powerhouse, and the results? Undeniable. The added strength is showing up everywhere in her game. She's attacking the basket with more power, finishing through contact instead of getting knocked off course. Defenders who once pushed her out of position are now the ones getting bounced back.
I guess he determined that Ariel Atkins had possession.
Clark, the switch on to Dolson, steps back.
Steph Dolson's in drop, and the screen is so...
14 from the field, but they've got a 5-point mark circling around. Sets up Samuelson, who's wide open at 3.
Her three-point range has stretched even farther, thanks to the added power in her legs. But maybe the biggest change? Her defense. Clark can now stand her ground against bigger, stronger opponents, turning her into an even more dangerous two-way force.
Whenever I decide to go to the WNBA, I hope it's that same thing. I hope I can continue to grow the game. I hope we're playing in front of sold-out crowds. I hope more teams are added to the league. There's so many tremendous players that don't even get the opportunity to play in the league. So
the implications for the league are massive. A stronger Caitlyn Clark isn't just a more lethal scorer, she's now a matchup nightmare for every team she faces. Physicality was the one weapon defenders had to try and slow her down. But with her transformation, that tool is completely off the table. Clark's added strength makes her even more dangerous. And now, opponents have to rethink everything. If she was already nearly unstoppable before, what does that make her now? Teams across the WNBA better start reworking their game plans, because the old strategies to contain her just became completely irrelevant. Every defender in the league will need to adjust, or they'll be left scrambling.
Her, Kelsey, and Aaliyah, Boston, they had something special the second half of the season, and I just look at them as a young, hungry team. Our veteran president with Joanna Barner, Natasha, and me coming from winning programs who have been around the league for a long time and can help infuse something in that team that can take them far in the playoffs, bruh.
Sydney Colson just dropped the bombshell on why she made the jump from the Aces to the Indiana Fever, and spoiler alert, it wasn't for the cornfields. Was it Caitlyn Clark's insane three-point range? A covert operation to add some comedy to the Midwest? Or maybe just an elite-level prank? One thing's for sure, Colson never does anything without leaving a little humor in her wake.
So Sydney Colson is obviously a player for the Indiana Fever. Someone signed to be Caitlyn Clark's backup, and she is I think she's going to be a solid player.
Sydney Colson finally spilled the tea on her move to the Indiana Fever, and let's just say, she didn't hold anything back. This wasn't some dull, "I'm excited for a new opportunity" speech. Nah, Colson came through with the kind of energy you'd expect from someone who's been itching to drop the details, ready to break it all down like a hyper-excited sports analyst with a comedy degree. The biggest takeaway? The Fever's glow-up is about to be straight-up terrifying.
Championship experience is a whole new thing, and then coming off the bench, backing up Caitlyn Clark, helping her with little things, just the knowledge that she's going to be able to give Caitlyn Clark is going to be absolutely fantastic. But why did she leave the Aces? Well, if you see some of these stats and some of this information I'm going to put out, you can be like, you're going to understand why it was time for her to go.
Now, if you blinked last season, you might have totally missed the Fever's wild turnaround. They kicked things off looking like they were just happy to be invited to the party, tripping over their own feet, spilling drinks, and forgetting defense even existed. But somewhere along the way, they decided to stop embarrassing themselves and actually play some basketball. The second half of the season, a completely different vibe. They went from, oh, bless their hearts, to, wait, are they actually good? And trust me, Colson was paying attention.
It was only a matter of time before Sydney Colson got to rubbing her hands together like Birdman to tell it all, dog. And that's exactly what she did in a recent interview. Now, we know Sydney Colson came over to the Fever from the Las Vegas Aces.
According to Colson, that comeback wasn't just a fluke. It was a warning shot. The Fever figured things out late last season, and now, with Caitlyn Clark in the mix, yeah, Colson didn't hold back. This team is about to be downright terrifying. Like, hide your favorite team's playoff dreams terrifying. Like, we're taking receipts terrifying. And Colson? She was all in on the chaos.
In the reveal, I am very excited for this new opportunity with Indiana. I know several players and coaches from the Fever, and I trust what I know about them, Colson said. I'm excited to be a part of the vision that the staff has for this team, and I'm ready to get to work.
Let's be real. She could have stuck with the Aces, where winning feels like a given at this point. But where's the fun in that? That's like playing a video game on easy mode. Colson wanted the challenge, the drama, the chance to be part of something on the rise, not something that's already been built. The Fever weren't offering her a seat on a championship train. They handed her a hammer and said, "Help us finish this." And honestly, that makes perfect sense. If there's anyone who thrives on being underestimated, it's Sydney Colson. The woman spent years proving she's not just a locker room presence or a social media star, but a legit hooper who can make a difference on the court. Now, she's got the chance to do it with a team that's hungry, scrappy, and, if you ask her, absolutely ready.
She said it's a much easier transition now they have a year under their belts together, which would be scary. I'll be interested to be up close and personal with Caitlyn and see what it's like day to day. And yeah, like that's the thing where it's like this team goes where Caitlyn goes. Like I think everyone kind of knows that, where it's like even last year with the team, when Caitlyn didn't play well, they only beat the dream.
Colson isn't done yet. While Caitlyn Clark gets the spotlight, Colson reminds everyone this isn't a one-woman show. The Fever already have young stars like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Alyssa Smith. And now they've added even more talent. This team is different, she says, confidently predicting their future success. How? They're done being the should-win team. The Fever are entering this season with a villainous edge, ready to prove they should have been taken seriously before. Colson's bold attitude, humor, and charisma make her the perfect fit for a squad with something to prove. She'll talk, stir things up, and back it up.
It was just an exciting opportunity. My time with the Aces was wonderful, and we created history in a lot of ways. And they'll always be my Aces family, and I'll miss those fans and everything. But I felt God was leading me in another direction, and sometimes stuff can feel uncomfortable, but you not necessarily feeling like you're ready to take a step back. But I think that's usually when you need to. So that was what I needed to do. Now that was Sydney Colson, man.
Sydney Colson didn't just join the Fever. She's all in on the chaos. The underdog story is about to become a nightmare for the league. And if you're not paying attention yet, you will soon. Colson keeps cranking it up, talking smack and backing it up. This time, she's got a lot to say about Caitlyn Clark, the Fever's veteran moves, and how they're setting Clark up to become a league-wide nightmare.
They went up and snatched Sid Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlyn. It's going to be fantastic. Backup for Kelsey. Like, she is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever.
Caitlyn Clark enters the WNBA with huge expectations, but Colson isn't worried. She made it clear that Clark won't be alone in this. The WNBA is tougher than college, and no one's giving Clark an easy ride. Colson emphasized that having experienced players around Clark is key, and they're not just guiding her, they're changing the culture. While the Fever showed promise last season, this year, with veteran leadership, they're ready to win and push the young players beyond just improvement.
Hopefully y'all remember how fantastic Sydney Colson was in the 2023 WNBA Finals. That's what Sydney Colson can offer. Yes, Sydney Colson did not play a lot of minutes with the Aces, but she could have. The thing that I love about Sydney Colson is that she's all fun and games. She's all silly. She's all enjoying her time. She's a boatload of fun. That is the life of the party right there. But when it comes to playing, when it comes to locking in and getting all set for the game, Sydney Colson's all business. Yeah, she could be silly and whatnot, but when she step on that court, she's business, right? Inside those lines, she is all about her goal, which her goal is to play some really good defense and take care of the ball. And that's what she does. And that's exactly why the Indiana Fever has signed Sydney Colson. Because yes, she is a great locker room fit, but also when you talk about someone who can play defense, that's something that the Indiana...
Caitlyn Clark will be great, but she'll be even better with her squad, including Colson, who doesn't downplay her own greatness. Colson's part of a Fever team stacking weapons and building confidence, ready to make noise in the WNBA. Aces fans, however, weren't happy when Colson signed with the Fever. Aces Twitter exploded with words like betrayal as the Fever kept adding talent, turning a rebuild into a full-on takeover mission. Aces fans were not handling it well.
The Fever better get a ring with this because Sydney Colson is a two-time WNBA champion, a true vet, an amazing backup point guard. And anytime that CC or any of the guards need to go to the bench, I mean, Sydney Colson always makes the right call, always makes the right decision.
A'ja Wilson tried to keep it together, but after a season of poor team chemistry, she admitted, "We didn't play our best." The real shock came when she said, "We had some things going on," hinting at locker room issues. With Colson leaving soon after, fans quickly connected the dots, and the drama unfolded. Was Colson the problem, or did she just leave at the right time? Theories are flying. Some say the Aces were already falling apart, and Colson made her exit perfectly. Others believe she was the glue holding the team together. Either way, the Aces were spiraling, and Vegas fans weren't happy. Meanwhile, Fever fans were watching, and Colson? She was in Indiana, likely enjoying the chaos, knowing she always lands on her feet.
Caitlyn Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, you know, Caitlyn Clark is that she's getting new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the Fever. Why are they pushing the Fever?
Caitlyn Clark isn't just making waves, she's flooding the league. WNBA franchises are practically abandoning their home courts like they've been hit with a fire alarm that says, "Caitlyn's coming." Teams like Atlanta, Chicago, Connecticut, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C. are all scrambling to larger venues just to handle the Clark impact. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably doom-scrolling, wondering why her name isn't splashed across those massive billboards.
One thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters, by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Take a moment to absorb this. WNBA teams are willingly leaving behind their cherished home courts to make room for one rookie phenom. This isn't hype. This is history in the making. 6 different franchises are moving their games to NBA arenas, meaning every Indiana Fever road game is now played in a venue with at least 15,000 seats. This isn't about following a trend. It's because Caitlyn Clark has the kind of draw that fills arenas like no one else in the league. While some teams are still playing in what feel like converted gymnasiums, Caitlyn's impact demands NBA-level venues. That's the kind of territory reserved for superstars.
That there are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
Let's not kid ourselves. These aren't just slightly larger gymnasiums. These are full-blown arena upgrades. The Atlanta Dream are stepping up to the State Farm Arena. The Chicago Sky, yes, the same team that once treated Angel Reese like the second coming of Michael Jordan, are now dialing it back with 2 games at the United Center. And it's not for Reese, it's for Clark. Because unless the Indiana Fever are in town, Reese might as well be playing at a local community center. Even the Aces, with their glitz and trophies, are booking the T-Mobile Arena just to prepare for the Fever frenzy.
Caitlyn Clark, the people's champion! Let's get it!
That's a deep one.
Bang!
Just announced that Caitlyn Clark and the Fever will be playing 41 of 44 games this year on national TV. They're coming to watch the other girl, right? Right? Bang! Teams are moving their games with the Fever to NBA arenas so they can sell more tickets. How about that? Bang! Angel Reese attempted a 3 this deep. I think she might dislocate her shoulder.
Bang!
You want some butter with that bread? Butter. Butter.
Butter pecan! Bang!
It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Just last season, these teams were all acting like Caitlyn Clark was just another rookie. "We don't need her," they boasted, chests puffed. "The league is fine without her." And now, here we are. The same teams are practically begging for court space big enough to accommodate the Clark crowds. It's not just about rolling out the red carpet anymore. It's like tearing up the road and rebuilding it with gold bricks.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center, home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden, home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
Special shout out to Connecticut. This franchise doesn't even have an NBA arena nearby. So what do? They pack up and move the whole operation to Boston. Yep, new state, new zip code, new everything, just to make room for Caitlyn Clark. That's not just special treatment, that's royalty-level hospitality. Can you imagine if Angel Reese tried to pull the same stunt? They'd probably laugh her all the way to some suburban middle school gym.
We're now at the stage where Caitlyn Clark is probably going to be responsible, I'm not joking when I say this, for like games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for like 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
And it doesn't stop there. The Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics are also moving their Clark matchups to larger venues, complete with extra seating, luxury suites, and, let's face it, bigger profit margins. This isn't a coincidence, it's strategic planning. When Caitlyn Clark rolls into town, it's not just a game, it's an economic boom. One ESPN analyst even dubbed her the WNBA's walking GDP boost. He meant it as a joke, but honestly, the numbers speak for themselves.
There are teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games, but have 17,000 fans when Caitlyn Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
Now, let's check in on the critics. The same ones who were screaming from the rooftops that Clark was overhyped have suddenly gone awfully quiet. Why? Because their arenas are packed, their jerseys are flying off the shelves, and their TV ratings are through the roof. All thanks to the player they once claimed didn't matter. And as for Angel Reese, she's still stewing over her not-so-unrivaled championship, watching Caitlyn dominate the spotlight, the schedule, and the arenas.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever. You can't acknowledge that she is the needle mover. Yeah.
Before Caitlyn Clark hit the WNBA, the average game barely drew 6,000 fans, about as many as you'd see at a high school pep rally. But Clark? She's effortlessly filling 20,000-seat arenas like it's no big deal. That's not just an increase, that's triple the usual turnout. These fans aren't there for the home team, they're showing up for her. WNBA execs are practically falling over themselves, openly admitting they'd give up home court advantage just to cash in on the Clark phenomenon. That's not hype. That's a walking ATM and sneakers.
I believe there was actually a debate on who was Rookie of the Year last year. Imagine being that delusional. Bang! People need to understand she saved this league. Powder, there's no TV deals, no ad sponsorships, heck, no shoe deals for you, Angel Reese, no McDonald's money. The league losing millions of dollars each year. She saved them from bankruptcy. Time to be grateful. Bang! 93% of her games on national TV. She's like that. Bang!
Let's talk numbers. WNBA attendance shot up by 48% last season, and unless your math is off, that increase has Caitlyn Clark's name written all over it. Teams aren't just scheduling her games, they're building their entire season around her appearances. The Las Vegas Aces, the same team that snickers whenever Clark's name trends, have quietly moved multiple games to the T-Mobile Arena. Why? Because they know the Caitlyn effect is the real MVP. All the eye rolls and cryptic tweets aside, even they can't deny she's the main attraction.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Caitlyn Clark has secured 41 nationally televised games this season. That's not just more airtime than any other player. It's more than entire franchises have had in years. We're talking ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBA TV. Every network wants a piece of the Clark action. It's a broadcast feeding frenzy, and trust me, no one's settling for leftovers.
The most television games in franchise history, the most national television games in for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Last season, the Indiana Fever were basically an afterthought. They were the dusty book collecting cobwebs on the bottom shelf, overlooked and forgotten. But with Caitlyn Clark in the mix, they've transformed into the league's golden child, now the star attraction in every primetime slot. The same team that struggled at the bottom of the standings is now the crown jewel of WNBA coverage. And you know that's stinging players like Angel Reese. For years, they assumed the throne was just waiting for them. But then Caitlyn Clark shows up, shattering records, drawing massive ratings, and showing off a range that leaves everyone in the dust. Suddenly, it's her show, and the spotlight's all hers.